So good morning, all. And it's a nice kind of gray and gloomy day here, which is going to get warmer and warmer. But I just got a note from my brother who's upstate New York, and he said they're getting 2 inches of rain. So uh, New York has just been getting clobbered. That they were saying last week that they've had rain upstate New York every weekend since November 23rd. And you can imagine getting 2 inches of rain. He just moved up to this small town, uh, and he said even the locals are saying they've never seen anything like this before. So it's to the point where he had to just go and he has a coal burning furnace. He had to go and order more coal for the furnace because it's still so cold up there. So I'm telling him when Carol and I go back in September, they better have that fixed. So today, I had mentioned a little bit of this and that. I was trying to decide about some videos to show, and I have one I was going to show, and then Don said he wasn't going to be here, but now he is, so maybe I will show it. So I've been
Yes.
working a bunch lately for all over the place, and uh, some of these things I realized I scanned forever, and I just never got around to editing, and it's amazing what's sitting in that hard drive waiting to be taken care of. But yeah, I'll do two from the Lake George area this week. Let me go bring up a folder here for them. One of these things, it's interesting. You get so frustrated in the way people are these days that let me just get 8mm transfers, Lake George. I was telling Carol last night at dinner, I had a video, which I'll do in just a moment, of Lake George, 1961. I buy films, and then sometimes they come in boxes of, 30, 50, films, and I just want the World's Fair one or the whatever one. And then you get others that, you figure what to do. So I had this one reel, and it's just labeled Canada 1961, 1963. So I sat there and I said, well, sometimes I just put them on eBay, and Randy's going upside down.
I know. I'm trying to figure out how to flip my image so my t-shirt reads correctly.
It looks okay to us. The
Wow, yeah, I read the
Oh,
message
does it?
that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. To me, it's backwards. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I get this film and I figure I'll look at it to put it on eBay, and I have to write up a description, because this is Canada, right? Well, it could be Toronto, it could be Montreal, it could be whatever. And in it, they spend a whole bunch of time at some resorts up in Canada doing, vacation stuff. But then there's a very short clip of where they're driving. They come across into New York, and they drive through Lake George Village. And I said, "Oh man, I recognize that." So I took it out, and the film's not in bad shape, not in great shape, but it took a lot of work because it's it was really grainy. So anyway, I did all this, put it all together, and I stuck it on Facebook on a Lake George group. And people, oh, that's really nice, and I remember the thing. Well, another guy grabs it and sticks it on his group for amusement park called Gaslight Village. But of course, he has to strip off the copyright at the end of it. And is wrong with people that they do this? I mean, I put a lot of time and effort, more hours than I would care to admit on it to make it right and everything. And these people just go off and do this stuff. And you obviously know that what you're doing is not right, or you wouldn't be doing it, right? So anyway, frustrating. So let me move this window out of the way. Too many windows. So I will start quick with a real short drive through Lake George Village, New York. How many people here have been to Lake George? Yeah, Carol. Okay. It's a really great spot. Let me just get this started here. Let's see, share. Okay. Again, this is going to go real short. But you're driving south on what's called New York State Route 9. There's all these hotels and motels, and we used to go up there for the summers and stay at the motels right here on the lake. Some of the ones you're going to see here are gone now. Jolly Roger had a big marina there, rented boats out across the, for people going to the lake. Down at the end, the building with the towers, the old Delaware and Hudson Railroad Station, which is now a gift shop. Things changed so much. You'll see right there a guy directing traffic. Well, in 1961, they didn't even have traffic lights in Lake George Village. Fort William Henry is a reconstructed Revolutionary War fort. And there's Gaslight Village, the amusement park, gay 1990s fun.
Yesterday's fun today.
Yes.
Somebody ought to be able to identify the car model from the dashboard. But
Yeah, and I can tell you also the guy liked to smoke. What was it? Well, that's a big one there. Phone from car. Who can you imagine somebody actually being able to make a phone call from a car? That's impossible, right? So, and then Fairyland Village is outside of Saratoga Village. Yeah, this guy, Newports, that's what he smoked. He had Newport cigarettes, and they were sitting on the what you call it, the dashboard of his car for much of the trip. Since Don's here, I'll start with this one. We're going to take a short ferry ride across Lake Champlain. We're going to go visit Ausable Chasm and then Fort Ticonderoga. So we're riding across the lake. If you're not familiar with the area, you've got Lake Champlain to the north. It's a very nice lake. Separates New York and Vermont at that particular point in time. And then it gets down to a real narrow spot we're going to see, and then it goes, it connects to Lake George. So Don, does this look like anything you saw familiar?
I don't know if this is the same ferry because that looked like Burlington in the background.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Well, that was leaving there, and I thought this might be a different ferry because I didn't see the evidence of the cables.
Yeah, that might have been it. The cable is off to the side, either side. What Bill is talking about is I wrote a cable guided ferry last week. I was heading to Ticonderoga.
Yeah,
I think that might either be the Burlington or the South Hero ferry.
It could be. Now we're at Ausable Chasm. Carol and I were at last year. It's a really great spot. It's privately owned, but it goes about 2.5 miles. And the Ausable River, it's small now, but you can see it's literally cut this gorge through this solid rock. So just think how powerful the force is over a period of time. When we were there, the boat ride was not running. It was they have famous boat ride. It was out of season. So now we're at the narrow part of Lake Champlain. This is taken from Fort Ticonderoga, which you'll see a sign that was built by the French, captured by the Americans, captured by the British, captured by the Americans, back and forth. But it's really a great spot if you're up in the area. And the sign tells us what with the last year it was used as a fort. And it was left to ruin, so a lot of people just came and helped themselves to stones to put, for their barns or whatever. And then earlier in the century, well, I guess it was last century now, private individuals bought it and went on a very prompt effort to rebuild it. So you see something like this, usually it's a state park or a national park or something. Now this is a privately owned fort, and they rebuilt it. It's really a great spot to visit if you're into history. And the cannons, if you're at all familiar with the story of the Revolutionary War, these are the ones that Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Men had to haul through the snow in the dead of winter. The British were not worried at all because nobody was ever going to be able to do that. And of course they did it. And when the snow melted and the British came this way, they got quite the surprise. So it's a very, very important part of the Revolutionary War history. It was just kind of nice that it was taken back from a ruin and rebuilt. Here's a sign. You can see how many people have captured this fort and done something with it. Then we're going to get a quick flip here of why I don't live upstate New York anymore. The snow looks all pretty, right? Well, Don, you ought to feel at home now, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, thanks. Carol was just telling me there was music playing, and I had added it to this one. Probably not selling many antiques this time of year.
I like that garage a lot.
I'm surely just watching it. So So let me stop sharing that. Yeah, I had some more videos I'm working in the pipeline, and I'll have them when we get together in, I guess it's 3 weeks time. Goodness gracious. But yeah, I mean that's a great area upstate. The other thing, if you're a Star Trek fan, Ticonderoga, New York has the Star Trek original set experience. Have you gone yet, Don?
Oh, multiple times. Just that's why I was going to Ticonderoga last week, actually. We had a guest and they wanted to see it.
Oh, great. Now I
Yeah.
understand they have the shuttlecraft there now.
Yeah, they're not showing it yet, but they have it. Yeah, I'm going again in 3 weeks. David Gerald, I never can. He's going to give a tour and show a showing of Trouble with Tribbles on the bridge. So I'm going to be there for that.
Oh, great. Well, if you're a Star Trek fan, it is a fun thing to do for sure. So these guys have put a lot of time and effort into to recreating it. Well, what I thought I would do this week is mostly spend our time with the 1964-65 World's Fair. And I realized, let me just close a window here so it doesn't get in my way. I had done a lot of stuff that was in the pipeline, and I figured, hey, let's go in the opposite direction for the stuff that is being newly done now. Let's go back to the stuff that was done earlier. So let me pull up, let's see, share screen.
Can you guys see my shirt that I got for my birthday?
Oh yeah,
That way, yeah, very nice.
happy birthday. Okay, so we're gonna go. How many people are familiar with the Scrooge McDuck?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, so Scrooge McDuck, the world's richest duck, he has the old #1
The
dime.
richest duck.
What's that?
I've never heard him described as being the richest duck.
Yeah. Well, are you familiar with the story of old #1? His first, you know, they did this whole mythos of how Scrooge filled his money bin, but he's got the first dime he ever earned. And of all the money he has, that's the most precious thing to him. Of course, this evil sorceress, Magica Dispel, tries to get the dime, and they do all these things about it. But anyway, he's got old #1. So what I'm going to bring up here, let me share screen. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, can you see the GM Pavilion?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
If we go through my photo collection, this is set 1, #1. So the date on here is not when I first did it, but basically when I first started deciding, I'm collecting all these slides, I got to do something with it. You know, I just pick up a box at random, I'll scan it, and this was the first one. When I first scanned them, I did them all at 2900 dots per inch on a Nikon Coolscan 4. Later, over in time, I ended up with Coolscan 5, which does it at 4000 dots per inch. So, of course, I had to go back and rescan all the things I had done at 2900 and redo them at 4000. And I tell you, it makes an amazing difference, what the scanner, the difference in resolution picks. So just off to the left here would be the American Maritime Association display, which was basically a big empty garden, maybe for sailors to go and rest or something. But there it is, #1. It's 63 degrees and a nice day, and we're going to see this. Not a lot of people visiting. Now, some of them like this are going to be slightly blurry. Again, that's what you get when you you know, take the random picture here or there, or you know, the random box of slides. Some are good, some are not. But we'll just keep hopping around GM for a while. Very early on in the 64 season, because they have not done anything to protect people from the shade, from the sun rather, so they're all lined up on the outside. Travel and transportation.
Did they add the protective covering between seasons or?
No, they added it, the fair opened in April, and it was, I think they first show up in June. So they realized pretty early on, it's on one of the changes to the fair page. They realized pretty early on that they had made a mistake and added it on. I think they thought that the space inside was going to be adequate for the you know, the crowds, but they got just absolutely jammed up outside there.
Bill, I'm seeing a gray bar at the bottom.
Yeah, that's what sharing the screen share. Oh, let's see if I do something here. 1 second. Does that help any?
Got it.
Good.
Okay. Again, you can tell this is 64 because there's the escorter off to the side. Yeah, this again, up here, these windows, that's the VIP lounge for the all these stockholders and everything else. The big set of windows to the right, and then there's some smaller ones off to the left. That's the office space and that sort of thing. But these people are all standing out there. Luckily, 63 degrees isn't too bad, but they quickly realized they had a problem on their hands and did something. Okay, for a number of people like Brock today is helping his family get ready for a family event. So a lot of our car watchers are not here. So they're just going to have to miss these great shots, right?
Yeah.
I mean, wow, you probably have to take this at 3 in the morning now to get the road that empty.
I don't even think then it would be that empty.
Yeah, Grand Central Parkway.
Yeah.
Yeah, also the blacktop looks brand new.
Right.
Yeah, well, they had done all the expansion of the roads and everything here. So yeah.
What is between the lanes and that off ramp or whatever? What are those?
Just stripes on the pavement telling people, this is the you're talking about over here, the
Yeah,
stripe.
are those, so are they
Marking
painted?
his shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, they just painted lines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Look like little chevrons, yeah.
yeah. So, and then Wayne will appreciate the next one on our World's Fair community.org page. I had posted a picture of a unknown pavilion concept art, and then we were able to resolve it down that it's the Missouri Pavilion snack bar. So it's great when you get a bunch of other detectives and you can say, what is it? The artwork has a picture of a building and there's a flag, and the flag looked, wow, is that the Libyan flag or whatever? No, it's the Missouri flag. So we had great fun trying to sort that one out. I'd say, Wayne, you might agree that the building looked a little more elegant in the artwork than it came out in real life, but such is often the case. And look how clean the brass rails are, right?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. You go the first month or two of opening, they're looking pretty good. Looking at the date here, it was 12 years ago that I rescanned this, so I'd have to go back and figure out exactly when I started this never-ending task. Belgian Village going up in the background.
Wow, they weren't very far into it.
No, and that's where, again, there was big talk about whether or not they were going to tear it down, like they tore down the World of Food. And the only reason they didn't tear it down was that the guy that was financing it was a personal friend of Robert Moses, and he swore that he would come up with the money and finish it, and he did. This looks like a great day to go, doesn't it? Not too crowded.
Mhm.
Nice blue skies.
Not too hot.
No. Yeah, Belgian Village is very early on. Here, over here, are the two gate towers on either side of this particular entrance. So many of the shots, those are finished and the rest of the building is not. But this is real early on. And Wisconsin Pavilion, and then Tad's Steakhouse over on the left. It's just straightened out a bit. A lot of times people just take them at weird angles. If I can, I try to straighten them out, but I usually save both versions.
It's a nice shot of a luminaire too.
What's that?
Say it's a nice shot of the luminaire.
Yeah. Look how empty it is. I bet when they had days like this, the bean counters are going, oh crap.
Well, the Belgian village wasn't finished, so nobody could get waffles yet. That's why there's no crowd.
Actually, you could, because you could get them over at the aerial tower ride.
Ah,
You know, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine from Disneyland, and Tom may know her, Stacia Martin.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, Carol and I are going to Disneyland on Tuesday, and we were talking about what the crowds are like these days. And Stacia said, "Oh, I really miss bowling alley Wednesdays." And that was when the park was so empty during the the off season, the winter, that you could literally throw a bowling ball down Main Street and not hit anybody. So not going to be too many bowling ball days coming up anymore.
nope.
Well, they're still doing reservations, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some tickets that don't need reservations, but we're using some that do this time. Here's Ghana,
Hush,
little
Roger.
New York telephone service truck. They would go around and pull all the money out of all the payphones. That's just the label I use for the CD that these things end up on. Let me go to the next one. Yeah, Disney did something really nice. They offered free tickets to first responders who worked on the fires that we had out here. So it was very, very nice of them to make them available. So they had to be used by August, and they're only good Monday through Thursday. So we're going on Tuesday. So a bunch of women in kimonos there, and better shot of the trash can. What surprised me in that trash can is somebody seems to have missed the decal on the side. I thought this was a great shot of two things, the GE Pavilion, but also the barricades that they had there. They did in World's Fair, also the New York official colors. So just, the funny things, your mind goes, you wonder where those ended up after the fair.
Do you know how that was constructed? The GE building, I mean, that big dome.
What about it? How it was done?
Yeah, do you know how?
Yeah, it's got a steel framework under it. So the whole thing was basically done just like, building a bridge. It was held up, jacked up with supports. The steel beams were put in place, and then they took them out. Somewhere I have a photo album that I think it was Tom Morris found of the construction company that built it, and there's a tremendous number of shots of how they actually built the pavilion. I'll have to look for that and go through that on a future talk.
Part of the reason I ask is that the University of Utah has the basketball arena is like that. But what they did is they created this big mound of dirt and then poured the dome on the dirt, and then did like what you said. They put the steel props underneath it, or beams and posts and stuff, and then dug out all the dirt. And the dirt that they had there is actually our street now. They moved
No
it
kidding.
they moved it from the construction site of the arena to create the road that we live on, or that Carrie and I live on.
I think in my life I've only seen the dirt thing being done once, and that was a road upstate New York. They were expanding. When I lived in Massachusetts, I would be commuting over to New York. The road was terrible, so they eventually put in a very nice road. But one of the ways they decided to do the bridges was what you were saying, that they basically filled up all the things where there was going to be a bridge with dirt, built the concrete bridge on top of it, and then dug all the dirt out from underneath. And I'd never seen that done before.
Yeah.
So again, a very nice day. Peace through understanding. The Texas Pavilion.
That
What's that?
were those speakers right there in the trees?
No, it's
No, the one
art.
before where you see, it looks like, are those the
Well,
what do you call them?
the luminaires. They're
Luminaires, thank you.
scattered down. Yeah, about
Yeah.
every other or every third luminaire in the center cone had a speaker system, so that they were used for playing the background music, but also Johnny Jones, We Have Your Little Boy, Come and Get 'Em. But yeah,
Are they mounted in the tree?
no,
No,
you see the pole
They're
here.
just separate? It looks
Yeah.
like they're in the tree.
No, if you look over on the other side of the street here, you can see
Right.
the pole. And if you look here, just go straight down, there it is, there's the pole.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Is it
sure
just
enough.
behind it?
On the study.
Because now they make all
My
those
screen
relay
data.
towers and they make them look like fake
Yeah.
trees. You've seen those, right?
These were cutting edge 6G towers.
Yeah.
When I first looked at this one here, I'll see if I zoom in real quick. I just the way this thing is with the hair, I just thought of the Bride of Frankenstein.
Well, she has a big bow, doesn't she?
Yeah, big bow, but doesn't it from a distance it look like the Bride of
Oh,
Frankenstein?
yeah, it does. The streak, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Was her name Elsa Lanchester? Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Continental Circus. We can go out and visit the spaceship, the 1492 spaceship, Santa Maria, down at the base of the Florida Pavilion. Winter, they just took all these plants out. They were these things look very forlorn. And there's the gate, the Meadow Lake gate.
So do you
So-
think the photographer was like nearsighted or something and that these look crystal clear to him through
Yeah,
the
you
viewfinder?
wonder, but I mean, sometimes like this one's not too bad. The flowers are
No,
nicely done.
it's a little blurry. Yeah.
I think in some cases the guy was probably walking and just wasn't stopping to to get it right. But it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Look, few people still coming in for the day.
Some of
Yeah.
those old 35mm cameras were very hard to focus.
Yeah, my
Uh,
first one was a split image rangefinder, and that was a pain in the butt.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
just if they were an SLR, the viewfinders were often so dark
Yeah,
compared to, later models.
It's just I've heard of people that had bad eyesight and then so they'd see would be perfectly crystal
Yeah.
clear, but then what
I
got put on the film was
see a nun.
now this one I got a kick out of looking at because there, of course, is our ever-present nun. There's construction going up to add stuff over here to the Minnesota Pavilion. But I looked at this.
Yay.
The first thing was it looks like Kramer from Seinfeld taking a tour.
So that modular, that was Minnesota?
Yes, that's Minnesota.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and down at the base they had a canoe ride that you could get in there and paddle a canoe around. Or in 1964 you could go fishing, and
Right.
they would stock it with fish, and you could catch a fish. And then how many people would catch a fish at 10 o'clock in the morning and still have it at the end of the day, right?
Right. Yeah.
Same problem they had at Disneyland with Tom Sawyer Island. People would catch it,
Yeah.
and a couple hours later it starts stinking, so they would just
Yeah.
drop it off.
Yeah.
I have I'll try to make it quick, a story about that, kind of something like that. Was flying this trip, it was around Christmas several years ago. And the purser on the trip, the Popeyes chicken on the A concourse in Atlanta, they were selling to employees fried turkeys. It was Christmas or Thanksgiving, I forget. Anyways, so she bought one. She had ordered one and by phone picked it up. Well, we got rerouted. There was weather everywhere. Every time the plane landed, no, you're not going to Cincinnati. Now you're going to New York. And we go to the plane, the gate for New York. No, now you're going to Boston. And
Oh no.
carried that turkey around for 3 days.
Oh,
Oh,
We were
God.
supposed to go home that night. It was a turnaround, go to Atlanta, come back. So she would, and we kept saying, carve it up, let's eat it. Oh, no, I'm taking it home.
Oh
God.
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Make my family sick.
Yeah,
yeah, that was whenever he died of food poisoning.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was taking a trip one time from here to London right about Thanksgiving, and I ran into the guy that ran our London office at the airport, and he had a stack of 8 pumpkin pies he was bringing over for other U.S. guys living in the UK at that time.
Yeah.
And then the flight attendant told him he couldn't bring 8 pies and put them, there wasn't space wherever he was sitting. So I said, well, I'll take the 4 pies, but it's going to cost you a slice of pie when I got there. So I again stuck 4 pies in the overhead bin. He stuck 4 pies. And when I got there, he actually invited me out to his house, which was really, really nice. And I did get my piece of pumpkin pie. But there were a number of times because you're sitting in the plane for 10 hours or something, and somebody said, "Just how much is that pie really worth to you?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can tell again, this is an early one. It's Louisiana's Bourbon Street, so they hadn't struck Louisiana's name off it. And our nuns are trying to figure out where they had a report of a kid without a button-down shirt. Let's go get him. Off to the Vatican. Of course, we always have to get New York, right?
Pretty.
Here's the New York City building. If we zoom in here, you can see that there's still things here for Dick Button's ice skating show.
Wasn't there a more permanent sign for his show at one point?
Yes, it's this is on the side of the building, and
Oh,
his
okay,
sign
yeah.
signage was permanent on the front or the back. So
Right.
if you go to the fairgrounds today, this is the parking lot that's still out here that you would use to go over to the New York State Pavilion or the theater. And then they set up a temporary little snack bar out here at that point. The armory sphere, which was stolen.
Okay, well,
Ah, it's too bad Brock's not here. We can talk about the inspiration for his great movie ride.
and that's true?
Oh yeah, I mean this is a copy of Man's Chinese Theater, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what the great movie ride was. So last week he showed us the picture of them all standing up here in the roof after they put the building together.
Cool.
Was it just a theater at the World's Fair? Inside the theater?
Oh no, there was a large section at the you went in here. They didn't show any movies. You went in and there was a whole thing they had inside the building itself that displays a big thing about the Cecil B. DeMille collection, props from his movies, costumes from the movies, and they had all sorts of concept art of things like that. And then outside, they had sets you could pose on that they would simulate they were filming. Oh, South Pacific, Cleopatra, the TV show Gunsmoke. They got
Nice.
yeah, about 4 different shows. I've got them all on my site if you go there.
Great.
And this was originally supposed to be the California Pavilion, and then the governor said nope, no money. So George Murphy put together a thing with private individuals, and they sponsored the Hollywood USA Pavilion. In the front of it, they had a replica of the Grumman's forecourt, where they would actually have people come in, like they had Gina Lola Bridget a day, and she came and put her hands and feet and signature into the concrete.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There are pictures of Annette Funicello there too.
Yeah, there's actually a video that they did.
Oh,
She
yeah.
goes there with Harvey Lembeck and a bunch of others. Yeah.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on YouTube. You can find it pretty easy.
She's my, I think every boy's favorite.
Yeah. The
None.
nuns are really out in force this day, aren't they?
I mentioned several meetings ago about this website I discovered on the Brussels World's Fair. Talk about packs of nuns. I mean, there'll be like 40 or 50 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go get the next one here. Now, sometimes the slides are dated, sometimes they're not. Those other 2 were not. This is a date. This box was dated July 1964. So I think they got there at night, one night, got some firework shots in and everything, and then they go off and come back the next day. I try to put these in the order. Sometimes the most of the time there's little numbers on them, and you can put them in order. Sometimes I just try to recreate it. Okay, this logically would flow here. But yeah, here's the big walkway. You can still walk today from the train station. Of course, the baseball stadium, which is brand new here, is gone now. But and then this building down here, the train facility has been replaced with something else. Another train facility, different building.
Are
And here,
I was gonna ask, are those train cars painted like in a World's Fair scheme?
Yep, just gonna say that. Here's the cars they brought in just for the World's Fair,
Okay.
painting them in special colors. And wow, we're gonna put air conditioning in them, something pretty new.
Yeah.
One thing I've wondered every time I've been there is how often do they have to replace that wood?
Sorry, I have somebody talking in the next room. I didn't hear you, Wayne.
I always wonder how often they replace the wood in the
On the-
walkway.
Oh yeah, it's a good question. I know they've done it at least once. Just like the boardwalk at Coney Island, you have to do and stuff like that. Because after a while they just start warping and giant nails pop up and everything. But just think how many people have gone across that, be- between the fair years, the baseball years, everything else.
Was this bridge built for the 39 fair?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So the flags, of course, if you look at them, they're just geometric shapes. There were no particular meanings to them, but it gave them a nice spot of color walking on in. And then we go over to Ford, and you can see the latest tractors, which up to this point in time, as a kid living, growing up from Brooklyn, moving out to Long Island, I had no idea that Ford even made tractors, let alone that they were the largest tractor maker at that point in time.
So, and it looks like there's a Mustang on display in the back there.
Yes, yeah.
So could that date it to what, mid season or?
This is July 64.
Oh, okay, you said, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. So he's all set to go plow the North 40. And over at the lake amusement area. Now let's see. Zoom in here a second. Amish woman, maybe? The choirs? I don't know what these.
Quakers, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, they don't have headdresses on.
no. She's trying to catch up. Get off the grass. I got sometimes the picture you should go, wow, shorts and knee socks. Okay. What a great combination, right?
Yeah, from Minnesota for sure.
In the airline industry, this would be captioned 747 captain on a layover.
He actually looks very much like a guy that lives 2 doors down from me. I was out directing traffic yesterday, and Larry drove by and waved and yelled, and but yeah, Larry doesn't dress this way. Thank God.
Is he originally from Minnesota?
I don't know. And this one, of course, now we're going on vacation, so we have to bring our picnic basket and put it in the trunk of the car. Well, I've
Kid
heard
doesn't quite
you
fit.
in the driver's seat. What's that?
The kid doesn't quite fit.
No. And you look at it, hang on. Looks a little old to be sucking his thumb, but
Yeah, he's got suspenders and what's that beanie he's got on?
I don't know
Yeah.
if that was a yarmulke or not. I was
I
trying
don't
to
think
figure
it
that
is.
out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of
Seems
big
too
for a
big,
dog.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
When I looked at this one, I said, oh my God, somebody caught me in a picture. And this is just about what I looked like in 1964. And I looked at it and said, no, I didn't have those glasses at that point in time, but that would have been about my height, my haircut, and everything. And but I didn't have those glasses. Sooner or later, I'm going to spot myself in one of these. I really thought I spotted my brother in one, and then realized it wasn't. I got a kick out of this one, Progress Land. They would put up the name, welcome, the GE people from the Schenectady factory. This day, I guess no VIPs, but the guards were really working hard here, taking care of the wheelchairs, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the shade.
Yeah. So the idea here, by the way, was these cars. You see, this one has the railing on the back, and these don't. The concept was you would park the car, you could pull the handle out and carry the handle with you, and that would stop somebody without a handle from taking your car and just using it for their kid. So these people, you can tell, are New Yorkers. They took the handle, and these people are probably from Minnesota. They left theirs. I figure we would just join in the Minnesota joke today.
Yeah.
Is the guy in the red jacket, is he a host for GE?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the GE host.
He's walking up to the cops to tell them, all right, guys, break it up.
Yeah. What is this, a union meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some days I've got pictures of this entire area just 12 deep in strollers.
Well, it must have been fun to take that handlebar off and carry it like into the carousel of progress with you.
Yeah, you would. You just carry it around, hold it on your lap during the show, and that way when you got back, nobody had stolen your stroller. Now, if somebody had taken your stroller, you could take your handlebar back to the Hertz place, and they'd give you another stroller. But that was the whole idea of how you kept people from just misappropriating your stroller.
A note for Randy, trying to date the picture by the Mustang. The Mustang was actually introduced 5 days before the fair opened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
My
more
best
towards
friend in
towards the middle of
Minneapolis
the season.
ordered one at the fair. He got a red convertible Mustang, and it showed up, the day that I had come to visit, and so
Wow.
he had a reverberator installed in it, and we went to JB's to get a strawberry pie, and yeah, it was just awesome. He was
Those
just beaming.
reverberators were great, for giving you more depth to your sound until you went over a railroad track.
Yeah, that was the best part. We used to drive over railroad tracks on purpose.
Yeah. We did that. A friend had it in his car, and it was in the next town, Oceanside. There was a thing where you could get yourself slightly airborne going over the tracks, and you
Yep.
could wong 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 wong.
Yep. Nope, I ended up buying a Camaro and putting the reverberator in that first thing when I got it. But that wasn't until 72.
Oh wow. Yep. So here's the down below the parking lot, and you can see people have all taken the handles. It's actually interesting that I don't think there's many shots I have where people are standing there with a handle. I've got one where a guy's got it over his shoulder, and just standing in line having it there. But you would think for all the things, well, there's a bunch more back here with the handles. You would think you'd see more of the people carrying them around.
The ones in the back though look more like personal strollers. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Just more traditional strollers. Of course, look at the stroller today, and then I think about the stroller my daughter got for my granddaughter.
No kidding.
There's just no comparison. It's got all this monitoring stuff in it if you leave the kid in it too long, and all the protection for this and that and everything. And these things, they worked. We all survived.
And they convert to like airline seats or car seats.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly. Just pretty neat. Just snap this one thing out, leave the base in the car, and yeah, works out great.
Yeah.
So inside, concept highway of the future, cars of the future, cars on monorail tracks. That would be kind of cool.
This is in General Electric.
I think we might have jumped to Ford.
Oh, okay.
Looks like you have an instant problem as soon as you put a body in it.
Yeah. Yeah, these are at Ford.
Okay.
And as night comes to the fair, you can tell, again, this is July. By this point in time, they've added the light up
IBM.
IBM symbols to the egg.
Yeah.
Ford Mexico.
Oh, Mexico. Oh.
And we're in Ireland.
Huh.
Looking down from the Better Living Center. There was a Hilton restaurant up at the top that had just fantastic views.
Are all those canopies part of Pepsi?
Down here, no, these canopies
over there. Yeah.
This is part of Pepsi over here.
Yeah.
And then over here we have Schaefer. So yeah, we got the Tower of the Four Winds. You can see the canopy over the boat ride here. The loading areas right here. You can see the people, the steps going up and down for the boats. And over here was a snack bar with a sign around the side, say Pepsi, please. And these were just places you could sit down and enjoy your food. And they sold sandwiches, I think. And I don't think they sold hot food. I think they sold sandwiches and Pepsi here, and then you could sit down and enjoy it down here in these colored ones. And then we have Arlington hats over here. So and next to it would be a Avis stroller. So if you came back and your stroller was gone, if you kept your handle, you could get another one. Here again, the big long lines. They never anticipated the amount of crowds they would get for some of these pavilions. So this is where they put them out here. Later on, they put waiting areas and they paved areas in here. And then in '65, they put the shades up to keep people.
Yeah, it almost seems amazing that they didn't anticipate these crowds, because the fair was initially anticipated to get like 70 million attendance.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would have been a no-brainer.
I think what they were thinking was people were going to be more spread out, that they were going to go, rather than wait on the line for this, I'll go see Ghana and I'll come back here later. Well, it turned out the smaller pavilions got very, very light crowds. And the big thing is the word of mouth. If you were only there for one day, you were going to wait on this line and make sure you saw it instead of saying, I'll go to Ghana and come back.
Right.
I didn't think I knew that the buses go right through.
Yeah. Yeah, these were sightseeing buses, and again, the sort of thing you would not do today. Diesel powered, spewing the exhaust and everything. So yeah, they would you'd come in, you'd buy a ticket, and you'd be in there in air conditioned comfort, and the driver would give you a narrated tour as he drove you through the facility, through
Gotcha.
the site.
I thought it was all those open air, that other tram that's down there. I thought it was all that.
Nope,
Once you're inside
yeah. Yep, they had both. Again, this is why Disney's monorail system didn't go in place. Greyhound got the thing to be the official transportation company of the fair. And they built these new buses that were a new design just for the fair. And then they promoted the fair in all their buses across the United States. So yeah, and the arches and everything had to be built big enough so that all the buses could go side by side underneath them. So look at the line here for GE. I mean, this was originally supposed to be another pavilion which was not sold. So they first started letting just people come in here, and then they ended up putting more lines. It ended up filling this entire thing here. But look at this line going up, coming around, going down, going down. I mean, it's pretty it's a pretty long line. I don't know if it shows on this. Let's see, we zoom in here. Yeah, they've got stanchions out here going along to keep people going, but vroom, 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 vroom. I mean, there was a 2.5, 3 hour wait in New York Sun for people to go in. Here's another nice shot showing the line. I've got pictures of this first aid booth here. When the '65, they figured all these people are here. Let's put another snack bar out here too. As long as you're in line, you might as well get a hot dog. And there's the church, the Russian Orthodox Church next to Bell. Oh, we're up at the Hilton restaurant now. So again, you can see you get some really nice views up there at the of the fairgrounds. These menus pop up. I have one or two of these in my collection. And every now and then somebody comes up with things like, here in the table, they come up with a packet of sugar left from the fair. I don't know if maybe the sugar is still good. Maybe the turkey wasn't good after 4 days. Hopefully the sugar would be.
Yeah.
It reminded me back in Florida, we had King Stephen's Banquet Hall. I don't know if anybody ever ate at that restaurant in the in the castle at the Magic Kingdom. But one of the things they did in the early days was the butter was shaped in the shape. You remember the old logo we used for Disney World? It had a big D on it, and it had a Mickey ears in the center of it. and your butter at King Stephen's was shaped in the shape of that logo. And there were so many people who would ask the waiters for cups of ice because they wanted to take the butter home with them. Disney eventually decided it was more trouble than it was worth to have D-shaped butter, but I can remember talking to some of the people that work there and said, if that butter made it home 0.1% of the time, they'd be amazed. But sooner or later, it's going to show up on eBay, or at a heritage auction, the rare King Stephen's Banquet Hall butter.
Yep.
Just when you think you collect everything, you run into somebody who says, hold my beer. Fountains are off here, and if you look down at the left, they're cleaning the pool. You wonder how much cleaning they're doing or dequartering it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the next two pictures, Bill having fun with Photoshop. So we have people just wandering around. You can see how the grass gets terribly beaten down and everything, right? But I figured this would be a nice shot, but how about if we just made them go away? So amazing what it was. I showed this one time online, and somebody said, how did you do that? And I said, oh, you used the Jimmy Hoffa filter. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, you circle the people you don't want and it sends them to the Meadowlands. Getting your free, not free, you had to pay 10 cents for a Coke, but we're outside the Coke Pavilion now. And we hop into GM.
Somebody spent money for flash bulbs.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They did a pretty nice job considering they're in a moving belt as they're going through this thing too. Up to the roof of Kodak. We're getting the grand tour and we're not even having to tire our feet, right? So here's the stairs and the canopies we saw before over at Small World. This is sort of picture when we were doing the movie Tomorrowland, that Disney would be calling up and say, oh, is there any way you can get a close-up picture or just zoom in? Because they were, and I have to admire, they were being very careful of, what did the hostess costumes look like, but to the point of this pin and ribbon, which side of her, chest was it on, the left side, right side? So, I was going crazy going through pictures and zooming them and, trying to, figure out
Good
some
details.
wanted. Yeah, they really went to a tremendous amount of very accurate detail.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Let's go here to the next step. Now we're going to jump way up in time. We're going to go to 1965, and you can see just how much they've changed the area. Our little first aid booth is still down below, but we've added another snack bar type thing in here. But look at what they've done to accommodate the crowds. And even with this, at time, the crowds will come down the street. If you look at this, if we zoom in here, you can see as big as it is, it's just chock full.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people waiting for it. GE, people said, wow, they spent a bunch of money to put this up. Worked out great for GE because they had TV sets on a closed loop that played commercials for GE products. So they'd have a video. You're going to see this greatest thing in the world and everything's great. And have you seen the newest iron that GE does? It makes the wash day miracles. And they had misters inside here too to keep people
Oh,
and comfortable.
early AC, huh?
Yeah. And here's our little snack bar down below that they've added in.
I amaze myself when I think back that I was so eager to go to the GE pavilion. I barely remember waiting in that line.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, there's Wayne right there, right there.
Yeah.
Back to the Better Living Center.
Did they have like an amnesia thing, Wayne, that you had to walk through?
I can't remember.
Uh,
There's Mickey, VIP lounge behind him. This is again is 65. By this point in time, Mickey has been banished up to the upper safe levels because a bunch of the New York kids try to throw him in the pool of industry.
Did they?
They did not succeed, but it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And then over here, you can see the sign, say Pepsi, please. Here's the little snack bars there. So Lowenbrow would march their horses, which they only seem to do in 65. I don't have any pictures of them marching the horses through the grounds in 64, but they would march around, I've mentioned before, the Pied Piper effect, trying to come back and get you to come back to Lowenbrow and have a cold one.
Neat shot.
Some impressive tack on that horse.
Yes, and after the fair, somebody bought the horses and the tack. And I'm trying to
Wow.
remember where they went.
They were bought by the Meisterbrau brewery in Chicago and stabled in North Chicago suburbs.
Yeah, the guy they were saying you talk about weird souvenirs that people brought back from the fair, but they bought the Lowenbrow horses.
Hmm.
You can see why IBM added the signage.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for July or 1965. Let's go here. So this one, it's too bad Kenneth isn't with us today. He's probably seen all these anyway, but we're off to the U.S. Space Park. Mock-up of a Gemini capsule up on top of the rocket here. And still see the Hall of Science being built in the back there. What's nice with, even though these are Instamatic format slides, you can still get a fair amount of information if you really want to take the time and effort to read what some of the signage says on them.
U.S. Pavilion.
Yeah. You wonder where all these metal discs ended up going.
Somebody's probably got him in a CD player somewhere.
Yeah. This, mentioned in prior talks, is up in Kennebunkport, Maine now. Inside the U.S. Pavilion. Out and outside. Either has stopped raining or they just watered the plants. When the fair first opened, they didn't have chains and things around here, and then they put them in to try to stop people from just shortcutting through and ruining all the grass. I have a whole section of my changes between the fair, during the fair things about Norman Winston's name. It was over here, it was too big, they moved it down. They had these lights, which are supposed to shine at the eagle, but you can see these are shining straight up because people have broken them off. So they changed the lights, they put railings around it. People stepped over the railings, broke the lights anyway. And they finally said, hey, I know what we could do with the Boy Scouts. We could put one on either side of it and tell people don't step over the thing. And I can tell you from experience, people actually listened to you back then when you would, as a 13, 14-year-old kid, you would say, sir, please don't do that. And they would not do that. Today, but again, the Jimmy Hoffa filter. I had to go and find the edge of a leaf and move it around to recreate that. But off we go to the Vatican. Mormon Pavilion.
I didn't realize it was that dark gray. I thought it was a lighter color.
Sometimes the pictures come out, very light, very dark, depending on how the lighting is on them. And some of these pictures are shot very, very dark, and I do the best I can to, restore them up to a point. But you get to the point sometimes if you do too much to lighten this up, it blows out some of the other stuff.
That's pretty accurate to the real thing. I mean, it might be a tad bit darker, but
Right.
it is granite.
All right. You can see the panels here, which they were supposed to raise up to put fake, clouds and hide the A and P pavilion, and they didn't work too well. Back to the Vatican, which is now in New London, Connecticut, or is it Groton, Connecticut? I think New London, New London. Up in the mezzanine level.
Do you remember a name of a kid named something like Harold Beeman?
Not offhand.
Pretty-
Try to
he-
help me with it.
He was kidnapped at the fair from a LDS group. So he had, chaperones, but he somehow either escaped from them or, or somebody tricked him into following him or whatever. But he was kidnapped and they didn't find him for 3 days.
Oh no, I don't know that story. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a neighbor lady. She lived there in New York, and she was telling me about it last Thursday.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Here they
didn't-
added signage down here. They when they first built the pavilion, they had very, very tiny little letters up here, United States Pavilion, and people weren't sure what the pavilion was because you couldn't see it from a distance. Then they put larger letters up, and I actually have pictures of the big letters up there being held up by masking tape. I think as they were waiting for the glue to settle in. But they had initially had just put signs down here, right? Well, the trouble is if everyone was on the steps, you couldn't see. So they, like I said, they just, you think they spent all the money to build this thing, right? You think somebody would have figured out signage?
Yeah.
Take
Opa.
Oklahoma. The guy was evidently enamored with the spire up on top of the Vatican.
What was that statue?
I forget the name of this particular one. It was another, the Savior and the Lamb, something like that. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it was another significant piece of art that was loaned for the
Right.
exhibition.
In
Which
the
is probably why the guard is
It's
standing
funny
right.
how the lamb is looking one way and the kid's looking the other. The shepherd looking the other.
Hey, I think I hear a wolf over there.
Yeah. Hey, buddies, stick with me.
Yeah.
You're looking the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know the name of this particular one.
Huh.
Okay, so we'll get through here.
Is it supposed to be like Moses leading his people or
I know
something?
it's down at the bottom right. It says Hosea. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Huh.
So now we're going to go near the end of the first season. People are starting to get their heavier coats back out. It's October '64. People dressed so nicely back then, didn't they?
Yeah.
Boy, all of a sudden I'm hungry. Let's see, what are we serving today? Looks like sausages
That does look good.
and
Bratwurst.
sauerkraut and probably a little mustard in here. Boy, I
Yeah.
wish I liked hot dogs, so I know where I'd be going for lunch. I always got a kick out of this one. The little old lady sitting here, some with the map, and she's just like, "Oh man, I'm beat. I've had a day." But more people just pouring on in. It's coming up to the end of the season, and we got to go see it before they all shut it down. And of course, there's always somebody with more money than me that he can afford. Let's go for a ride in one of these things. So I never did get to go for a glider ride, or a transporter ride, rather.
Well, the
I
effect of
went
the
post
effect of it-
fair, but I didn't get to go during the fair.
the effect of it floating is good in that picture. I mean, it really looks like it's floating on air.
It does,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And off we go for a ride on the Skyway.
We went to a restaurant last week that you guys have probably seen this all the time, but it was the first time I'd ever seen it. And a robot delivered our order to our table. Have you, any
No,
of
I
you
haven't
done?
had that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the Hoff's Hut restaurants, which is kind of local to Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
There's several of them. Yeah, they have it. When I went
Yeah.
to Expo 2020 in Dubai, you could be anywhere on the fairgrounds. You could order a meal from the German pavilion on your phone, and it would be delivered to you. They give you the combination to open it, and it would be
Wow.
delivered to you. Yeah.
IBM looking down. We had a waitress, we went out to lunch last week. They had a waitress that I would rather have had a robot, because maybe the robot would refill your water glass for you. It's amazing if you're in a service-oriented industry, how people seem to think they do you a favor. I mean, I had to get the manager, can I please get my bill?
Wow.
It's astonishing, where you don't have to put that much time and effort in to try to make people happy. And then the bill comes with a pre-printed suggestions of 18, 20, and 25%, because of course 15% is not acceptable anymore. But I'm sorry, I will reward good service. I can think of very few 25% tips I would leave in the average fast food place. Here's the crash gate mentioned in an earlier talk that they could open up and get ambulances and popes in and out of the fairground very quickly. Well, it's nice to see the Belgian village all finished, isn't it? There's the carousel.
Someone mentioned Belgian waffles being at obviously the Belgian village. So it was also available in the amusement zone. Were those the only two places on the grounds that you could get Belgian waffles?
No, when they started, it was over, and it's a weird combination. How they ended up being the aerial tower ride and Belgian waffle exhibit.
Right.
And that's from day one that they were over there. I think they probably realized that the Belgian village isn't going to be done, so let's link up with these other people. In the background here is the Belgian waffle stand with that yellow sign inside the Belgian village. Once the Belgian waffles became very popular, they became everywhere. And even if you get to places like the Caribbean Pavilion, there's a sign there for Belgian waffles. Other places started having things like the what you call it, Caribbean waffles with pineapple on it instead of strawberries. But pretty soon, almost everywhere you went had some form of waffle. And then the Belgian waffles made a big thing that they were the Belgium, Belgem waffles, and they were the official waffles.
I just noticed there's a gumball machine on the wall.
Yep.
Well, if you actually zoom out, I always get a kick of the guy with a cigarette here. He looks like he's ready to give you a tip on that aqueduct. But yeah, if you zoom in over here, it's not actually a gumball machine. It got foreign money.
Oh.
You will get a little plastic egg type thing. Over here, they gave you what you call it, foreign stamps came out of this one. And this one, you get a coin, a thing, a plastic egg, and it would come out with coins in it. But yes, it does look just like they're selling gumballs.
Wonder what the exchange rate was.
Yeah.
You lose.
Hey, Roger.
I mean, I love a picture like this. You would not know you were in Queens. Oh, we could take the New York State Pavilion out of the back here. But if you look at this, there's no way you'd know you're in Queens. Every now and then I'll post a picture from the Belgian village on a Queens group on Facebook, and people, it's like, no, that couldn't be. Yeah, it really was.
So isn't that kind of a big crowd for the Belgian village? And I was got the
Yeah,
impression it's kind of
they're doing pretty well.
fizzled out.
Again, it's near the end of the fair, that season, people are probably going off and living it up.
Right.
I was surprised they didn't put a big cash register on this one. They'd done that with so many fairs.
Yeah.
All right, July 1964. GM concept car rocked from side to side so you could see the roof or underneath it. up on the tower. This guy, I mean, wow, he's all set. He's got his tripod, and look at all the camera gear this guy's got. I mean, he's all set here. I don't know if that's a microphone or something. He's got, he's got, maybe it's a case for his tripod, but he's all set. He's enough of a photographer. He's enough as his initials on his camera bag. But I mean, today you'd have to have a barrier up, over, height and everything. Here, of course, they're leaning on one of the things where you drop the quarter in, you would listen to the phone, and it would say, looking out to your left, you see the so and such, and over to the right, that sort of thing. So hopefully we can get up there someday if they ever finish their reconstruction work. And if you're up there, this is what you'd be seeing. They had what you call it, little walkways here that they could come out and they could raise and lower the flags of the counties in New York that ring the pavilion. The job, of course, would be to get from here to there up to I mean, that would not be an easy thing to get there. So only one of these had a staircase that went up, and that staircase was so they could go onto the roof and change the light bulbs. And mother and father are celebrating all the wonderful things in their Medallion City home. That's out of Chungking, which they had taken these, the rickshaw here had been at the 1962 Seattle World's Fair, and they brought it out here to New York. And they later ended up putting one at Freedom Land as well. So Chungking canned foods, 99 cents your whole meal. Yep, they were impressively dressed, weren't they? Okay. Oh, now we're going to jump way, way, way up into the future. November 4th, 1987. This was one of the trips I took back in, this was kind of got me going on my whole collecting nonsense, was that I was in New York and we had a day off, and actually they canceled the meetings. And I said, I'm going to take the train out to Flushing Meadows. I hadn't been at the fairground at this point, probably in maybe 15 years. So I went and grabbed some film, grabbed my camera, and went out to Flushing Meadows. And this is what this trip out here is what started me going, oh, I wonder where my pictures are of the fair, and maybe I could find others. And I started putting ads in newspapers and that sort of thing, trying to, do you want to get rid of your old memories of the fair? And that's this trip. Oh God, this maybe if I go back in time, Carol would stop me from taking this trip. But anyway, this is what reawakened my mania of going out there. So we have obviously Gotham Plaza. It was a very cool day, and there were not a lot of people there, which made it even more ghostly and interesting for me. I didn't have a map with me, so I was trying from memory to remember what was where, and what exactly where was GE and where was IBM, that sort of thing. But it was all starting to come back to me. So even there, they're promising they're going to improve things. Recondition of phase 1 pavement removal. This was where, after the fair ended, they didn't have the money in either 39 or in the 64 fairs to pull out all the roads. And at this point in time, they were pulling out a lot of the old roads and walkways and restoring it to greenery. Elevators still parked halfway up the tower. And of course, being New York, it's New York. I wonder how many times they've had to clean those plaques. I liked it better when the fair was there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bill playing with his telephoto lens. The building here is still in the middle of the former pool of industry. It has some piping around it. I think they were intending at one point to have fountains going, but it just sits there. No idea if there's any pumps or anything left inside it today. And they went through this big thing, whoever the park commissioner was at that point in time, of putting maple leaf flags up on anything in the city that didn't move. They had to get the park symbol up there. You can see at this point in time, the roofs have come down. A lot of the blue lights are still up there. The lamps are still here for the capitals of the world, but the wiring is severed. Terrace on the park. So some of the roofs are still here. They finally, and the others came down by themselves. They finally made a point of going in and taking the roofs off. You can also see that the concrete bases of the towers are still there, but as chunks of those came down loose over time, they came up and removed those. So if you go today, you see the steel work and all the piping and everything underneath them. And to my amazement, the gate was open and you could just go walking on in. So I went in here. I had to get this shot because I am a proud graduate of the Clarkson College of Technology, now Clarkson University in Potsdam, New York. I had to kind of kick some of the leaves out of the way, but
Yeah,
there
looks
it
like
was. Yay, Clarkson.
Yeah.
This, again, I took this as an example to show how many sections of it had already, by 1987, been ruined and replaced by just pure concrete. This one I had to get, my Boy Scout camp, Livingston Manor, and Beaver Kill. Our camp, let's see, here's Frick Pond. Our camp would be right around here, so right up here. So Livingston Manor Airport is long gone. Was only just ever a small private airport, but there were many times I hiked from here over to the Beaver Kill. So again, I was glad to see that. And here, Baldwin, poor Rockville Center sure got destroyed. In 1964, Baldwin was not on the map. They had not stuck it on there for whatever reason. And the citizens in my town did a massive petition to have Baldwin added to the map. And when we went back in 1965, Baldwin was added there. So pretty sad now, but you know, at least we got on the map. And then we might go upstairs and see what's going on. Things are starting to look a little shaky, but if you go up, you get a nice view of the map down below. All this has been painted white during the ice skating, I'm sorry, the roller skating days.
What year was this again?
Level. Sorry,
What year was this again?
87.
Oh.
So some of the lamps, Joey had not gotten all the lamps by that point in time. In the former heliport. Down below, planters, which during the fair had trees in them. Now they're just weeds and everything. The escalator up to the mezzanine level. What was really weird, I still remember vividly standing here, the winds were blowing and the cables for the elevators were just going bang, bang, you know, back and forth. And they were, the different cables had different sounds to them. So it was sort of like a very badly tuned piano with, you know, 3 different notes. And I tell you, if I could have found a way to get up there, I certainly would have, but I tried. The doors are securely shut. And this one is ironic. No heavy loads permitted on terrazzo floor, right? Because we have to protect it. Other shots I have, there's cars and stuff parked in there. There's the Astral Fountain. The center cage, you can see where the rail was that it revolved around. This is now the skate park. bench on the site of the Vatican Pavilion. And this is where a group holds services that they swear they see the ghost of the Blessed Mother out there in the park. Again, Vatican. And let's go over to Meadow Lake. And the amphitheater was still there. So there's the cornerstone from when it was the New York State Pavilion for the 1939 World's Fair. This is the one that Joey said he was at as they opened it up, found a big metal box, took the metal box away, and it was never seen again. So one can just wonder what was in there.
Water.
Anybody want to go for a paddle boat ride? Like I said, I was very lonely. There were not a lot of people in the park that day. Here's the Westinghouse Pavilion, the time capsule. This is over the 39 time capsule, and the 64 one is about here. So if you're gonna dig, this is probably easier to dig here. So if you dig here, don't tell them I told you so. 5,000 years. Good luck. The Hall of Science. The forms and transit sculpture had other pieces on it which had been damaged over the years and taken off. And here they're telling you one of these days we're going to restore these rockets. They were in pretty bad shape even in 1987. So you can see here, for example, all the base of the boat tail were coming off, and this thing was, you could just stand here and hear about 100 pigeons up over your head.
Mm.
What's absolutely astonishing is that you look at some of these things. This is the mock-up of the Gemini capsule, but there's another one, I don't know if I caught it that day, of the Mercury capsule, which was a real one. They didn't realize sitting up there was still real. So the panorama is still there. I don't think any of my pictures of that came out too well. It's getting late. I've got to go back for business dinner. Oh, this one, I remember I was taking pictures. This is the former press building. I was taking pictures. It was a New York City police precinct at the time. And as I was taking the pictures, a patrol car came up and they wanted to know why I was so interested in taking pictures of their office. So I had to explain to them I was a World's Fair idiot, and that they decided it was okay.
Now they would say World's Fair. What's that?
Yeah, yeah. And heading back to the train one last time, go catch the 7 back to the city. And these, how many people walk through these archways? And they're still there today.
Wow.
This is the Long Island Railroad Station, which was really big and popular for the fair. This is how I got into the fair many, many days. And by this point in time, they discontinued the service, that, you know, no particular need to bring people out there. By this point in Shea, they'd taken down the multicolored panels that were originally on the outside. That was the start of my mania, November 4th, 1987. So the time machine still takes us back to August of 64. There's our Missouri Pavilion, and here's the snack bar that we were talking about earlier. Then the fountains look nice, the way they were lit up with a light right underneath the jets.
Gorgeous.
And there's all the capitals of the world. And you can see the effect of rotating. Originally, the Unisphere was supposed to rotate, and they decided that was too impossible a task to do. So let's simulate the lighting by moving lights around it, so you can see the difference between night and day as they're going around. So you can see the difference between this one and this one. And over to the Caribbean. Look how pretty the luminaires are with the purples or lilacs or whatever on that one. Bounds of the fairs and the bell system. Look how bright those lights were on on the Unisphere.
Cool.
I've mentioned in other talks that I loved it at night. The crowds went home, the humidity went down, the fountains and everything were beautiful, and the fireworks shows were very impressive. I just had to make sure I didn't stay too late and miss the last train, or my mother had made it plain I would never be allowed in the house again. I actually, my parents were really cool. They really were. I mean, again, I'm 12 years old. I'm gonna go into, by myself, or they made me take my brother with me. But would I let my 12-year-old kid now take a train into the city and say, just try to be home before, we go to bed? No way. Tower of Light. Lit up very nice at night with different colors. And see again the size of the people, their heads, to give you a perspective of how high those fountains are shooting into the air. I just wish that my movies, the fountains, were sound movies, because I remember the roar of them was pretty impressive. Does that look like Salt Lake City on an average night, Tom?
Well, now, the whole thing's covered with scaffolding and, they're going to open it up to the public here, or if they haven't already. And so even the heathens can go tour it.
Oh, really? Wow.
I didn't
I
know
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
they were doing that.
That's a
Yeah,
big,
it's a big deal.
yeah.
Masonic, Thailand.
Yeah, if any of you want to go, you can come stay at our house and
We
have
might
us
take you
be
up on
your,
that. It's been a
yeah,
while since we were there.
yeah, absolutely. Be your home base, and you can go fart around all over the place. Go up to Yellowstone, Jackson
That's what we
Hole.
did the last time we did that. We came up, stayed in Sandy for a couple nights, and then drove up from there to Yellowstone.
Yeah, yeah,
Here's the cloth panels designed to block out A&P.
yeah. I mean, they work better than nothing.
Yeah, except it gets pretty windy there, and they kept getting shredded.
Oh, huh.
Here's one of the entrance pylons. Excuse me. It became a big thing for the local Mormons to put your flowers on display out here in the fountain area. So you can see they had some that were floatings, others that were along here, and they would have signs there that the flowers for this particular week or month or whatever were provided by the ladies of this particular town. Which is great. Again, if you do that, you don't have to pay for flowers, right? You get people to pay for it. And then I imagine if you, provided your flowers, you had to go buy a ticket and go see them, right? So great deal.
I think that's one of the biggest things like that gimmick show is bands. They invite bands
Yes.
from all over the country, and then their whole family comes. Of all the band members, because they all want to see it.
Oh, hi. Sorry, my granddaughter's calling. Hi there, Charlene. How are you? She's too busy eating. Charlene, I'm talking to some friends. I'll talk to you later, and I'll see you in a week. She doesn't care. She's eating mango. So these pictures are a whole bunch of different years. So you may see some 64, some 65 stuff all batched in there together. But there's the VIP level. We're over at Missouri. There's that same time capsule marker. The little metal thing here is because up above was the wire that was holding the replica capsule that was going to go down in there. Actually, it was holding the real capsule that was going to go in there. The replica was off to the side. And we have to go take a look at the Telstar satellite because that's a proud product of the state of New Jersey.
Hmm.
And Travelers Insurance. This may look familiar, Wayne. They moved the exhibits off to Chicago after the fair.
Hmm.
The city of Ur. And there's again all those discs at Billy Graham.
Hmm.
And the Singer Bowl down below, they had exhibits of sewing machines and that sort of thing. So looks like these ladies are making good use of their ponchos, but it looks like the rain stopped, so maybe they should take them off.
I never understood the connection between Singer and an arena, but it's nice that they sponsored it.
Yeah, very much so.
Where was the Spirit of 76 thing that you just brought up?
Oh, that's Continental Insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would go inside. If you go on the site, you can see this is a big building with this is open air, and then when you went inside, they had dioramas about the Revolutionary War. And go and zoom in here, you can see a little bit about you know, the Spirit of 76, and I can make out more of this than you folks probably can. Equitable, they had their VIP lounge here in the back, and the curtains are basically always closed because I don't think they wanted people looking in. But kind of defeated why you'd have a VIP lounge with curtains.
The most underused facility in the fair, Singer Bowl.
Yes, I tell you, you know, Moses, he did a wonderful thing bringing this fair to be, but what if he had used this thing and invited, you know, bands and groups, you know, to come out here and play, just like they did at Freedom Land and so many other places, you know, that you could bring in the young or the teenage set. They'd have to pay your main gate admission to get in before they pay the extra admission to go to the concert. But he was so stuck with the Guy Lombardo style of music and everything, he absolutely wouldn't let them play at these places. It was an absolute total waste of space. Talk about waste of space. You know, again, Sal Simmons, Land of Enchantment, and rest alcoves that you could rent a bed for half an hour. I cannot imagine going to the World's Fair and deciding I need to lay down and take a nap for half an hour. I mean, I went to the World's Fair. I was so excited I couldn't sleep for 3 days before or 2 days after.
Looks like the first Star Destroyer in the Empire.
And there's Jane Parker in the background. The hated sign. And again, this was either 64 or 65. I have to go back and try to figure out more. But you know, I get a real kick that 9 years later I was designing the replacement for this Polaris rocket. So things change. The money tree.
So are they trying to replace that stained glass ceiling? Or?
This one, no, they have no plans to do that right now.
Wouldn't that
They're
be
basically
nice?
trying to keep the building from falling down.
Yeah. They could do it with silk or something, right?
Yeah, that would be better. You know, you don't have anywhere near the load factor on it. So
Yeah.
First National City Bank, they had 2 branches. This was the public facing branch, and then they had another one we've seen in other weeks of where all the fair pavilions did their business. And we're at the Festival of Gas, because nothing says gas like a striped elephant, right?
What do you get when you cross a zebra with an elephant?
A very annoying elephant. And we go into Coca-Cola. We could get the Taj Mahal. Again, how this would help you sell Coke, I don't know. Excuse me. Nice little display in the center of the Festival of Gas. Mentions Scott Paper. Oh, this I thought it was Simmons, but Scott Paper. So all the happy elves are showing you the happy forest that they live in. And please come here and cut down our forest and make paper out of it.
Or grow palm trees, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what these trees are supposed to be, but I guess, I don't know, forest, fairy, farm, gnome trees, whatever. Let's go sit in the flowers. Oh, talking about Dick Button in the ice skating show before. Very rare shots of this. So because it lasted just, I think, about 3 months. So, but here we are with some ice skaters down below, and obviously a very intricate set piece here of a ladder. But they put out ribbons up to the ceiling. I have I don't know if there's others on this particular one. It looks like not, but I have others with ice skating chimps and things like that. It was sort of a different show. Inside the Travel and Transportation Pavilion. Some of these are mirrored, and I have a nice shot and a different one of the guy taking the picture, and you know, like right back at your fella. There he is in the mirrored shot.
I haven't seen that before.
So a nice busy day down in the tent of tomorrow. You can see here they had the Wing of Fashion. They had an art thing. This is so early in the fair, though. Look at all the display cases. They're still empty, and they've just got X's on them to let people know there's glass. So later on, they came and they ended up putting women's clothing, you know, scarves, dresses, blouses, and everything in here. But this was so early in the fair, they hadn't even gotten to that point yet.
Display windows.
Yep. Here is that forms in transit when I mentioned earlier. It was before some of the pieces broke off. And I don't know what kind of cars these are, other than they're Chryslers. So take that, Brock. I knew a car.
It's a Valiant on the left,
Oh, okay.
and there's a Dodge something on the right. Yeah.
The Route of the Dashing Dan. That train car was the back end of a real train car, which after the fair went out to a children's playground and unfortunately rotted away and was not able to be saved when the engine went out to the Oyster Bay Railroad Museum. So Malaysia, very small pavilion, but it was a new nation at the time and formed from a bunch of islands that came together. Some of these are self-explanatory. Again, for almost all these, there's hardly any clouds in the sky. I mean, very hot during the summer, those 2 particular years. So here again, you can see we are not selling Belgium waffles, we're selling Belgisch waffles because Belgium waffles were the official one, but these guys, they're right on the outside of the Belgian village. They came and they started selling their waffles. And you could get ice cream and other odds and ends, and the nuns are coming down to check it out. But again, you can see how popular the waffles are. There's nobody pouring out the door of the ice cream place, but look how many people are here over at the waffle stand. They were incredibly popular.
Have you all tried pecan waffles? Those are my favorite.
Pecan? No, I'm not
Yeah.
a pecan lover.
Ah, how about blueberry then?
Oh yeah, yeah. Here's the tower we saw before being framed out. The family phone booth. A genuine World's Fair garbage truck. The sort of thing, you look at this sort of thing and you go, okay, I guess they needed to do them, but wouldn't there be a way to keep them out of sight? I guess they would, so many of those trash cans filled up, you just had to go and empty them.
You look at pictures of Expo 67 and there's a lot of big trash dumpsters right in plain sight.
Yeah. From Vatican looking over. Like I said, you would not know you're in Queens. Again, this is an Instamatic format picture, but look what a nice job it does in picking up the the quality that you can read all these things.
Yeah.
Dressed wax statuettes.
Yep. Special collection, the real Belgian wooden shoes. Original Belgian pottery.
And romantic mirrors.
Yeah. See somebody's parked their stroller.
Illegally.
What's that?
Illegally.
Yeah. We're off to Japan now. Models of the Nikko Shrine. They had some publicity thing I've seen of how many people it took, how many years to build this. Very impressive numbers. And I think we got time for one more, so let's see. Oh, this is a real short set here. So we go inside the Vatican.
Well,
And, if this is, again, you want to get a shot of the Pieta, well, again, using flash, boom, you can see the bulletproof glass that it was displayed behind, which I think they wish they had kept in when they brought it back to Rome before the butthead hit it with a hammer. That's what makes, getting pictures is so hard. Use a flash, you're just going to get the glass.
reflection, yeah.
Yeah. We can tell that this set wasn't dated. We could tell it's 64 because the towers here are not red. Hong Kong. This picture shows up a lot because we're standing right next to a Kodak picture spot sign.
Thailand.
And people, oh, sign says I must take a picture. I must use film. I must send more money to Kodak.
Hey, Randy, that shows you the gray you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other one was quite a bit darker.
It was, yeah.
So now we're going to October 3rd, 1964. Oh, this is the only shot, or this box of them. These are still in 2900 dots per inch. But somewhere between the time of scanning them and rescanning them, I don't know where I've put this particular one. So we're still in the 2900 DPI at this particular point in time.
Not bad still. I mean, that's pretty high.
Yeah. And you can see I scanned this originally back October 12th, 2002. Oh my God. How many years I've been doing this? Mexico. Sudan. I don't know. They have their fingers crossed, hoping they come down okay, or hoping they don't. I don't know. Greece. Hey, here I found a candidate for the Simmons Pavilion.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, these poor lights took it. There's supposed to be 3 of them here, right? Yeah. you go to the page, you can see how many times they try to salvage that particular thing. It
The word pavilions is gone. It's gone too. It just says
no, I think it's just caught in the sun and the light. I think this was just bleached out, but I think it is up there. If we zoom in on it, yeah, I think it's still casting
Yeah,
shadows here. It's just
a bit of glare.
yeah, just the way that's caught. Okay, let me end with another newer one. Let's see. Went back in 2000. This is September 29th, 2002. So old sign left on the side of it from when it was ice skating rink post fair. This is one of the very first things I did with one of my digital cameras. I had a digital Nikon at the time. Black for the two officers that were killed when the bomb blew up on 4th of July in 1940. Outside the New York City building, now the Queens Museum. A little bit more traffic. So 2002, these cars should be a little bit more identifiable to people. I'm standing over where I believe General Motors would have been at when I took this. And there's the occasional signs that are around the fair, which apparently were put in post-fair, that were not there during the fair. The Parks Commissioner at the time, his name Henry Stern, I think. He had the propensity for naming things, all sorts of things. So this is the unusual name of the Fountain of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Nothing ape that I could see here. This was one of the fountains that was which you go, the fountain of the fair south and north outside the General Motors Pavilion, but he's renamed to the Fountain of the Planet of the Apes. Over here is the entrance to the carousel, which has been relocated.
Do you think those fountains are still there?
They're still there. I have not seen them running on recent trips, but they are still there. One of the bridges across Meadow Lake. Oh no, yeah, not Meadow Lake. This is the cross Grand Central Parkway from the Transportation Pavilion over the main area. So this is Bridge of the United Nations, either north or south. I don't remember which one this is. You can see now the concrete's been taken down from the base of the buildings, and the metal work is up there, and all the roofs are gone. Nice that they put some signage out there to tell you what you're looking at. Someday I'll stitch all the signs together. And the elevator here is down in the pit, all rotted away. I don't remember if this day I got the shot of the raccoons that were running around. Yeah, that's down into the elevator pit. And here is the map. Look how grown up it is. They're not taking care of the weeds. And the weeds can be as destructive as putting weight on them as their roots go and start breaking and putting pressure on the terrazzo. The sign before, remember, no heavy weight. No, let's just bring some industrial dumpsters in here. This is before they did the painting on it, so all the paint here has faded away from its fair colors. The astral fountain. And you can see they started doing some work to get the colors back, but you can see how the building is settled and the concrete blocks. Again, this was 23 years ago. It's gotten worse now, and that's one of the things about how do you stabilize all this. So keep the weight off the pavilion, the floor, except I'll bring my car in here and put a cover over it. There were all sorts of things in there, old refrigerators. Like I said, here's the dumpsters, scissor lift the theater used stored back there. At this particular point, I couldn't get in, the gate was locked. The wires for all the lights have been all chopped off. Why they would do that is beyond me. This is the addition that was put in, the flat sculpture artwork. I don't know what you would want to call this, with a 64 layout and pictograms of what was where. So here, obviously, a representation of Chrysler, the Skyway, the space park. I got a kick out of this one. It looks like they actually launched missiles there, didn't it?
Is that still there?
It's still there. Yeah, it's kind of worn down. You can imagine a zillion feet go over it, but it's still there.
I didn't see it last time I was out there. I'll have to look.
Yeah, still, yeah, good reason to go back. So General Motors up above the Weather Control Bureau and down below the Dolphins. And there's the aviary, the pavilion, and then Churchill, Spain, the giant tire. They even got the Hall of Education in there. Boy, they went all the way out. Fountains of the Planet, rocket thrower.
What year was this installed?
2002.
Okay, thanks.
And back over to the Unisphere. So let's put the graffiti on the stone if it's not on the metal.
38 years.
Yeah, then we go into the panorama. They had restored the airplanes. You can see the little cables. They would come in and land on at the LaGuardia and Kennedy airports. Memorial to the World Trade Center. Oh, there's my house. Okay. And they would again simulate the difference between night and day falling on the facility. Outside the Queen's Museum. Our poor little elevator. And with that, I think we'll stop for the day. So I saw a couple things going in the chat. Hey, Eric, I saw you join earlier. Last week, I had the pleasure of meeting Eric in person, so that worked out really well. We went to a D23 event to celebrate the 55th anniversary of the Disney Archives, and there was a pretty good sized line for it. And then we went and sat down, and Carol said, "Hey, look who's 2 rows behind us." So that worked out really well.
It was so nice to see you too.
It was a fun event. It was really funny because I look online and there was Paula Sigmund Lowry, who was at one point, there were only 2 people in the archives. And she was on the line with her husband and saw her and talked to them. And a bunch of the archive staff I knew had been moved to Florida and they came back for this. So it was great to see them. So yeah, it was, sorry that Dave Smith was not there to enjoy the fruits of his labor, but had you been to the Grand Central Air Terminal before, Eric?
Yeah, I just happened to go to an event in March. I think it was for the anniversary, whatever anniversary for the Indiana Jones attraction. So that was the first time I had gone to the Grand Central Terminal and checked out the little museum they created for that. They did a nice job there. I thought, from what I know, and I learned a lot from that. But it's just a nice facility. It was hard not to just want to go behind the curtains and explore the actual places, like behind the stage area. I think that's where the staircase that leads up to their offices, and I
Yeah.
accidentally walked behind there in March. Just I didn't go into the offices, but at least saw the stairwell, and there are some old mosaics still on there. I think that led up. I guess the where we were was the main terminal area, so the waiting areas on top and stuff like that back in the day. I don't know for sure, but
Right.
it's just kind of
Yeah.
nice.
Back when Carol and I worked there was a machine shop and stuff. So, I mean, well, we went, I hadn't been there for years, so we went to a
Yeah.
memorial service for Dave Smith and took the tour of the reconstructed area. But when you've been in one area and it's this, and then you go in another area, and now it's the same building. You walk through the
Yeah.
door and your brain just, it's not the same. I mean,
Right.
but my parents did something like that. When I went off to college, my mother decided that the kitchen was too small and the dining room was too big, and that she spent more time in the kitchen than she did in the dining room. So it used to be that when you walked through our front door, there was the dining room off to the right, and then you'd walk through the dining room and there was the kitchen. So I come home from college and I walk in the door and there's the kitchen. I remember the kids in my head, making noises, and it
Yeah.
took forever. Now, when I see, the old family movies or pictures of everything, oh yeah, that's the way it was. But it was just so bizarre for a house I've lived in for 20 years to walk in the door and it's a whole different.
I know.
That was
Funny.
bizarre.
There were so many like Disney VIP kind of people there. There was like the voice of Mickey Mouse. He wasn't speaking, but I saw him there, and Bill Farmer, who does the voice of Goofy, and he was on stage. But truly, the highlight was seeing you and actually getting to talk to Carol for a while. I would love to have spoke to both of you much longer, just to get to know you two more often. More than through the screen here. It was so nice. It was
Where
such a
was
nice
this event?
It was at the Grand Central Terminal, which is now Disney property, which is in Glendale, right next to Imagineering, off of Flowers. Well, what's the street behind it? Air something, Airport something, or Air
Yeah,
something?
Airport Street or something.
Yeah,
The
by
street
Flowers Street.
used to
That's all I
actually,
know.
that street used to be the runway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they in the museum they have a faux control tower of how it appeared back in the day. I think it might be the actual control panel that they used to use.
Yeah.
And they have a video monitor in the background to simulate what it would look like. And I think in the what you're seeing is a live footage, and there's a camera at the top of the tower of the structure that's still there to see what it would look like. And so it was just neat. It's nicely done.
Yeah, they used it in a bunch of movies, and there's one of the Laurel and Hardy movies. I can't remember which one it was. Something with the Foreign Legion, and they have that, and so they have all sorts of stuff. And it was one of the first airports for the city of LA, and they used to have it where people would come in and fly into Glendale. The people who were going up to Hearst Castle would fly across the country, go to Glendale, go out to the Glendale train station. The trains would take them up to Hearst Place. So, and like I said, it's a great history, and it's really nice that Disney did a lot to restore it, because there were all sorts of architectural elements that were hidden behind plaster walls, well, not plaster, but what you call it, whatever this drywall stuff.
Yep.
They took them down and restored it, and there were some sections that were missing that they had ripped out, that they took casts from over here and they made more copies to put over there, and they put a lot of money into it for a building that really doesn't get a lot of public use.
Right. I like all the little details too, like the outdoor benches outside and the kind of park-like atmosphere they made. I guess where the tarmac would have been, like they look like airplane wings. Just those little nuances. The walkway that's in the middle of Grand Central, in the big auditorium area that we are in, it kind of also emulates an airplane wing.
Yeah.
Just here, nods here and there. It's just really, really nicely done.
Well, if you come back down this way, let us know. Like I said, a couple of us went out. We went to Bob's Big Boy, which I hadn't been in years and years. And I had one of the best pieces of chocolate cake. What was it? Chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream.
The fudge cake, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go to Pinocchio's. Carol mentioned this place called Pinocchio's.
Oh,
And we were eating lunch at this place called Granville's, which was really nice in Burbank. I guess it's a small chain down there. But the whole time we were talking about like, oh, Pinocchio's has this and that. And I'm like, okay, let's go to, I want to go to Pinocchio's next.
It's actually,
Pinocchio is great. It was really funny.
it's
Carolyn,
actually next. There's an Italian grocery store that's attached to it called Monte Carlo, and Pinocchio's is just one part of it where you can get hot food.
It's like a deli, grocery.
Yeah, and they do
Nice.
catering too, or they used to
Nice.
anyway.
well, you know, it was a big hangout when it was the Lockheed days in Burbank. So you go in and one wall is all full of pictures of, you know, World War I and, you know, old airplanes. And you used to go in there, you'd have like the Disney section over here and people eating, and then the Lockheed people were over there. And of course, we didn't speak to the Lockheed people, right? But, you know, Lockheed's pretty much gone. But we went there a lot to the point where Carolyn, we now live 17 miles away where we are now. And we would have parties and we would go over to Pinocchio's and you know, have them cater you know, not cater, they wouldn't come and serve it, but we'd get the platters of food and bring it all
Yeah.
back here.
Uh-huh.
People, this is really good. There's nothing like it around where we live. But Carolyn Peterson has come to a number of the talks, and she came out and she was doing something at the Griffith Observatory. And we said, that's pretty close. We can meet you at this place called Pinocchio's in Burbank. So we went and had a nice time, and it's not elegant at all, but I think the food's good. And it's, I
Yeah.
hope you liked it. So next time she writes, I'm coming back to town. Is there any chance we could go to Pinocchio's? You know?
That's great. And Randy, you mentioned, I didn't realize Hofstut was still open in Long Beach. We used to go to the one in, you know, by Disneyland. all
Yeah,
the time.
there are only there. Let's see. I think there are 2 of them now, maybe 3.
Uh-huh.
They just opened a new one maybe about a year and a half. Just well, probably was going to open during the pandemic, but
Yeah.
got delayed. It's actually in Cerritos. Used to be a Marie Callender's. Marie Callender's bought the building, and it's a really nice restaurant. They got a really nice bar and really nicely decorated.
Definitely want to try that. I was telling Carol about our version of not really our version, but we have something up here called Harry's Hofbrau, and there was 3 of them, and now there's only 2, and it looks like a German Hofbrau kind of thing. It's cafeteria style.
Eric, where are you?
I'm up in Northern California. I'm
Okay,
actually
yeah,
in
well-
the south. I'm in Morgan Hill, so
Okay, all right. I mean, I was
next to
raised.
Gilroy.
Yeah, I was raised in Santa Clara. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the San Jose Hofstut closed, right? And now
Right.
there's
Harry's.
is it Harry's Hofbrau, and then
Yeah.
we go to the one in Redwood City, and apparently there's still one in San Leandro too, which we haven't been to. So.
Yeah, my sister and I tried to go to the one in San Jose every St. Patrick's Day for like 10 years, and
Oh yeah.
you know the line was like
Right.
down the block, so we just finally
Yeah.
gave up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know why it's so crowded, don't you? St. Patrick's Day. Everybody's out celebrating my anniversary with Carol.
Oh, was that?
Oh,
We got married on St. Patrick's Day, so
that's
You know,
nice.
what else
The
is
thing
good
I
on
learned too
what you
was at
do?
that Burbank Empire Shopping Center or whatever that used to be the Lockheed
Yeah.
manufacturer. That I didn't know that until they had some little design element. I'm like, what's that about? And so I looked it up, and that's when I learned about that area used to be Lockheed.
Yeah, let's go
Manufacturing.
build a shopping center on top of all the toxic waste. That was
That was the other thing that came up that they cleaned up.
I mean, where
Oh.
McDonnell Douglas used to be in Long Beach, on Lakewood Boulevard, there's now a shopping center called the LBX, and it has an airport theme. There's like one building that's like a hangar, and it's a food court. A lot of pictures of old McDonnell Douglas airplanes, and
Yeah.
it's nice.
I like when they make an effort. Like
Yeah.
the Long Beach airport, that they reopened the old terminal and just walking around. It's
Right.
really neat. Yeah.
Well, it was a good thing, by the way, Eric, that Carol spotted you, because I didn't recognize you at first until I went like that. Okay.
I have to have my pillow in front of me too, like I'm sitting on the couch.
No, it was, you know, what was really great was the timing of it, because they had a morning show and an afternoon show, and we initially were trying to get to go to the morning, and there was a screw up with getting the tickets. So I was out on patrol, and Carol was desperately trying to figure out how the Disney website works and talk to Bill, who's trying not to get hit by a car. So she did yeoman duties of getting us the tickets. But we knew people that, like our friend Stacia, went to the morning show, you know, and you know, it's like, oh, and we wish we would have seen you. And again, I hadn't talked to her to tell her we're going to go to the afternoon show, and that, you know, because we could have said we'll get there a little early, meet you on the way out as we're
Yeah.
going in. But then there were other people that were at the afternoon thing that said, "Oh, I was there. Oh, so was I." But as you know, the crowd was pretty good.
Right.
size. You didn't necessarily see everybody that was in the room with you. So it was great that you were so close to us.
Yeah, so I wish, yeah, again, I wish I had more time to speak to you all. I know y'all were busy too, so and we had to catch our flight. We flew in and then we had to fly out. So
Oh, you jet setters.
Yeah.
uh,
For
Well,
sure.
it's a long story, but we had credits, and it's not like we've got money that we're just tossing around or anything. So
Oh
Miles.
no,
it
that's
just
what I was
worked out.
impressed. I said, Carol, we got to be nice to these people. They got to be rich.
There you go.
I could get you passes on Delta. Of course, you'd never get on. You know,
We're like the
every time-
standby line.
yeah, every time Delta, they this new improvement for retirees, you get this extra pass. It's like retirees are so far down the list. If I gave it to a friend, which I can do, they'd never speak to me again. They get somewhere. They get
Randy,
to,
I'm still at the airport
Yeah,
5
they get
days
to
later.
Paris.
I'm still trying to catch my flight.
yeah, they get to Paris and then they have to buy a full fare one-way ticket to get
Yeah.
back. Which would definitely do any way any good that pass had gave them
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah.
And it's a first class ticket, right?
You're listed in first class, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
once
But it
again,
never happens. Yeah.
it rarely happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
My nephew got me home from Geneva, New York on a Delta, buddy pass, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, what does he do for Delta, or what did you do?
He's
for
a pilot.
Oh.
Well, he's actually with Scare West. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but he's been doing that a long, long time now.
Well,
So Bob's Big Boy, that's where we got the strawberry pie, that
Yeah,
remember when we talked about the Mustang that my friend bought at
Yeah.
the 64 fair? And then Carrie and I stayed at the owner's, Bob's house in San Juan Islands and
Oh,
for
wow.
about at least a week. I can't remember, maybe 10 days.
wow.
And it was kind of crazy because it was on the windward side of the island, and you just kind of going, who would build a house on the windward side? But
The guy who owns
it made it
Bob's.
very private because nobody else wanted to be there.
Carol tried to order the strawberry pie, but it wasn't in season.
Oh no, I
Um,
thot it was always in season. at
No,
Big
matter
Boy.
of fact, poor Carol had the worst luck. It says strawberry pie in season. So she says, do you have the strawberry pie not in season? And down below it says, ice cream. Ask the server for, selection. So Carol says, what flavor ice cream do you have? And it said, just vanilla. And she doesn't.
Oh wow,
But I mean, why put on the menu? Ask for the selection.
sure.
I don't think Bob's is a great place anymore, if it ever was, but there's one not too far from where we live that we had lunch one day a couple of months ago. It was horrible.
Oh, it was terrible.
Oh,
Really run
Probably-
down and there's nobody in there either, which I can understand why.
It's
We
like
had
Camp
Denny's-
David,
Denny's is
famous
like
for
that now,
the-
too.
like the strawberry pie, or Coco's has those delicious hot fudge sundaes.
Are there still Cocos around anywhere?
Oh, I don't know. Last
What
time I went
ones?
was in Phoenix, Arizona.
What one?
Hot fudge sundae?
No, you were asking.
Coco's.
Oh,
Oh,
Coco's, there's,
no, I think, God, I think there's one
It's
still over
closed, right?
near the Bear Pit, Carol. I think,
oh, could be, yeah, on Sepulveda.
yeah. But the Bob's that we went to near us was so bad that when you walk in and you see all the benches are held together with duct tape. I'm not.
Oh
exact-
my.
And then you sit on.
oh, we like that Bob's. The Burbank one, right?
No,
We
not
went
to the
Burbank.
Burbank
No,
one, which was
Northridge.
okay.
He said the one near them.
Oh, which it's not Downey, no, right?
No, Northridge.
Northridge.
I don't know if you know
Oh,
where
I haven't
that
been
is,
to that
but-
one.
Yeah,
I haven't
and
been to
you
that
don't
one,
want to
yeah.
go.
Okay,
No.
fair enough. I'm like, the
What's the
Burbank
nice
one is
one?
great. I'm not sure what you guys
No,
are
the
talking about.
Burbank one
but
is
now I
the
get it.
original. That's the original
That's the one I'm
one.
thinking of, the Burbank one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's very nice, right? They've kept
it's
it up.
okay.
I think so. I still think so. Yeah.
I mean,
And
the
it seems to be
decor
busy.
and all that. I don't know about the food.
Yeah, yeah,
cake-
and then,
the
you know-
fudge cake was to die for. Matter of
Yeah.
fact,
We used to go there and get chili spaghetti.
Yeah, I was about to say it's Kelly's Spaghetti.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
It's
that-
right there by
I've
the
had that.
Warner Brothers studio and Disney
On
Studios.
Riverside Drive, right
Yeah.
at the edge of Toluca Lake.
Right.
Yeah, last time I took my friend Pam, lives in Studio City. We went to, what's that restaurant near Warner Brothers that's real
Oh,
famous?
Smokehouse.
Smokehouse, yeah.
Oh, house. Yeah, we went there for lunch, and then afterwards we went to get a sundae. It was like we were on a date in the 50s in the malt shop. We ordered one banana split, and we're eating out of the bowl. And it was fun though. Yeah.
Have you guys
Before
heard
we
of
go, it's just-
Friendly's ice cream stores?
Oh, back
Haven't
Yeah.
been
Yes.
on, but yeah.
So
They're all
Carrie and I
gone.
were
I know we
at
bought some plates. We bought some of their dessert plates. Literally, they went up to their ceiling or whatever, and
The attic.
they got us some of the dessert plates because we liked it so much.
oh, nice.
Yeah, you
Well,
had to go
Carrie
to
and I were at
Friendly's.
one in Akron, Ohio, and this guy came and took our order. You know, he's all dressed up in the uniform and all, and had his pad out and took our order. And then he just disappeared, you know, for the longest time. And I finally called somebody over, you know, like hour and a half later, and you know that he said that I said that kid took our order and he never brought it to us. And he says, "Oh, he doesn't work here." And he was just you know, special needs kid that they let hang around and just kind of do his thing. You know,
Oh no!
Could have been
It's
worse,
really-
Tom.
really
because
cute.
that was that was the ghost of the manager who died.
oh, maybe, huh?
So this Friendly's ice cream, where is it? A nationwide chain?
It was back east a lot, and they
Yeah.
had their big thing, their signature thing they had was a shake called the Fribble. You remember that, Tom?
No, I
No.
don't.
Yeah, and this is another example of unfortunate. They were doing really, really well, and then they got bought out by some investment firm, did a highly leveraged buyout that you know, all of a sudden they had so much debt, and they, you know, like, well, we're out of this, we're out of that. Sort of like the way
You can have
writings
some of
are
mine too,
disappearing
Fred.
right now. You know that the Friendlies are just gone. So
Venture capitalist.
yeah. Well, real quick before we go, you were mentioning the free ticket, Randy, you know, and how you'd have to spend the money to buy. a
yeah,
ticket.
right.
We're
Yeah.
going to Disneyland on Tuesday. I mentioned we get these free tickets for first responders, and I say, hey, this is great. Then you
Wow.
start thinking what this is going to cost. Well, okay, the parking, right? But I
Yeah.
thought, okay, maybe it would be nice to get the Lightning Lane thing, which I've never used before. And if you get their Lightning Lane Express, it's $349 per person.
That's the premier one. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
fancy one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
here's
can't get
another
the
one.
other one until you get there. So I'll probably
Right.
get the
Yeah.
other one. But then I thought, oh, maybe I'll take I wanted to do the Walking in Walt's Footsteps tour, which they're not giving right now. So I said,
Oh.
oh, I'll take the train tour, and again, that was only $151 per person. So you start saying, well, okay, my free tickets right there, that would be $300. Then I said,
Yeah.
oh, I can get a thing to have dinner at and go watch the World of Color show. Oh, that's only $69 per person. So I started adding this up, and I said, I'm getting up to like $1,000 to use these free tickets. I can't afford to use free tickets. So we're going to go without all that crap, and we're just going to, if we
Just the
walk in and
add-ons
see
that get
something,
you.
we see it. I mean, it's not like it's our first time there. So
What is that $300 and something extra ticket? It gets you to the front of like every line?
yes, right,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny that we say friends will come and they wrote all up.
Sorry, you broke
And
up
then
there,
here
Tom.
you are, actually Bill Cotter, and they don't even.
No. I said, oh, your Bill Cotter is a 10% surcharge.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Back to the
actually-
line. Back in the back of the line.
I have
Yeah.
to say my
Back of the
it
back.
was exploding last week because we were standing on line waiting to go in, and a woman in front of me turned around and said, "Are you Bill Cotter?" And I always say, "Does he owe you money?" But she was like,
Yeah.
I heard you. I recognize your voice, and turned out she had seen me on some stuff and bought some of the books. And there were I don't know how many people would say Carol recognized me from things. So I have to send a check to my agent for getting me on.
A lot of people seem to know you wherever you go, if it's associated with Disney or World's Fairs.
Well, the ones that were annoying though were the ones that said, "Oh my God, there's Bill Cotter. Let's get away before he sees us." So, but then they said, "Oh no, there's Carol. We'll still talk to them." So,
Before we leave,
Terrible.
I wanted to ask Darren what his picture is of.
Mission Control someplace.
Oh no, that's an Atari competition.
Oh.
I was wondering about that.
Love it.
Funny.
Our son
I
is
loved
actually
it.
going to some video game tournaments and they have to bring in CRT monitors because I guess the games play or look differently on CRTs compared to flat screens, that there's something about lag or whatever. So
Refresh rate.
yeah, he says he goes to the place and some people bring their own monitor because they're so happy with it. So
I love
Crazy.
What year is that? What year is that competition?
I think it's 79.
Yeah.
70.
I was gonna say that's a typical 1970s hotel motel 19-inch color TV.
Yeah. you're
Yeah.
right. You know, it's funny you mentioned Atari competitions. I didn't know it at the time, but in 19 was it 82? Yeah, 1982, I entered an Atari competition run by a local Woolworths of all things. I actually came in third. But the judge, I thought the judge was really cute. She was one of the supervisors taking the things that, judging competitions, but I never got to talk to her. I was always pushed out. And I took my prizes and went home. Flash forward some 26 years later, and I see my wife wearing an Atari competition 1982. Turns out that was my wife I met back at the competition. She was
Oh
judging the
my
competition.
God.
I didn't
Wow.
actually ask her on a date for 12 years. But yeah, I met Mandy for
Meant
the
to
first
be.
time in an Atari video game competition.
Wow.
Well, see,
That's
Carol,
Space
now you
Invaders
should,
brought you guys together.
Carol, you shouldn't
Pong,
feel
maybe
bad.
it
It
was
took
Pong.
him 12 years to ask his wife even to go on a date. I mean, yeah.
We
It
met
took-
we met multiple times before we actually met. We crossed paths a large number of times, we found out, before we actually met.
That's funny.
Amazing.
But yeah, that was the first one we was able to track to. And I still want to know why I didn't win.
And
Don, were there
the
more than
big
12
question-
people in your town?
This was Austin, Texas at the
Oh,
time.
wow.
How many
Wow.
pieces?
Oh, yeah, it was a well-attended competition. I felt kind of bad because it was playing asteroids, and
Oh yeah.
a lot of little kids entered, and I was beating these little kids, and they were crying, and it's like, sorry,
Oh,
but I want to win the video games.
Oh my gosh.
And what's a Woolworths?
So yeah, Woolworths have been gone a long time,
God.
Yeah.
but they were still open then. They were hosting. I don't think was it them actually running it? My wife's sitting here. Yeah, but
Crazy. Well,
Amazing.
next week at this time, we'll be getting off a plane and getting on the Seattle highway and taking our chances. And then 2 weeks from this time, we'll be going back to the airport, going the other direction. Excuse me. So on 3 weeks from today, I do have some more movies. As I found I had scanned all these movies, stuck them in a hard drive, and then I wasn't paying attention until the hard drive turned red on my Windows Explorer to say, "You're filling up this drive." And I went and said, "What are you filling it up with?" "Oh, all these movies, like the one from Lake Champlain we just saw." "Oh, I scanned that in 2022. I just never got around to restoring it." So, yeah, again, what you can do in some of these things with Topaz Video, that does an amazing job of between Neat Video and Topaz Video. You can really take some of these, like that Lake George film. Again, it was really shot from a moving car. It was grainier than hell. You take all the stuff out, makes it look nice, and then somebody cuts your copyright off. So it's great.
yeah, I think you're probably the most pirated photographer, film person I've seen. I've had a few of my 66 things pirated, but I got nothing on you. Your stuff's everywhere.
It, if people just ask, can I use it? I almost always say yes. But so this guy just didn't even repost it. Like, oh, here's a cool video. He reposted. He took the copyright off and he added some honky tonk piano music driving through the town, and then slowed it down. So instead of lasting a minute and a half, it lasts 2 minutes or something. But again, just say, what you're doing. And, I always try to give people credit for, if I use their stuff or ask them for permission first. Matter of fact, it's really annoying. I saw a book online and it was Negro Week at the 1939 New York World's Fair. So I said, oh, that might be an interesting subject. I bought it and opened up and I said, oh yeah, it's really nice. Here's my pictures in it. So now I go,
Oh, no.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the guy, you publish a book and everything. Again, if you would just ask, yeah, okay,
Mhm.
sure, just, copyright, courtesy, that sort of thing. So, here's the material testing pavilion at the fair. Here's the guard at the World's Fair on the preview day. It was just irritating as hell. Plus, they tend to use second, like they'll grab a small picture, that's a 72 DPI that you share online, and now in the book it looks like crap. I'd be glad to give them the 4000 DPI and make it look nice, but
Mhm.
yeah, I looked and I said, well, there's 5, there's 6. I'll count them later. So now I gotta go
Did
get
you let him
involved with that.
know that you,
Sorry, you broke up, Tom.
did you let him know that you knew?
No, I just got the book on Thursday, so I haven't
Oh.
gotten back to them yet.
I call the publisher and get it pulled.
Yeah, yeah,
Music.
it's annoying. So good to see you folks. See you in 3 weeks, and I've got a bunch of stuff in the pipeline, and hopefully we'll keep the pipeline going. The thing is, once I get on a kick, I was up till 1:30 in the morning. Gotta finish another one. Gotta finish another one. But I sat there for 3 years. I didn't know it existed. Now it's the most important thing in the world. So, well, thanks
Will.
for
Safe
joining.
travels.
We'll see you soon, and
Yep.
You'll have a good trip.
take Carol to Pinocchio.
Happy weekend, everyone.
Take
Yeah,
care.
you and Carol have
Have a
safe
good trip, Bill.
travels.
All right, bye.
Bye.